Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. In today's video I used to learn how to make this beautiful top from start to finish, and also make sure that you watch from the beginning to the end. For those of you that have not watched how I drafted a basic body pattern, please try and watch that video. The link will be in the description of this video down below, so that you know where we are coming from. If you have coming across me for the first time, my name is Grace. Without further ado, let's get into the video. To start with, we are starting with this pattern paper. Like I said earlier, I'm marking 2" because I actually removed 2" from this pattern paper when I was drafting it, so I'm replacing it back. I will use my marking tape to put it in place, and I will cut the excess out. Yes. Initially, this is the normal zipper brush that I'm supposed to use. I'm showing this for the sake of this tutorial in case you are going to work with a fabric that's like Ankara or any material that is not stretching, or probably you want to turn it with a lining. But guys, this is a corporate way. If you are not turning it with a lining, you have to remove some zip allowance, because initially I added 2" 2" allowance for the zip. At this size seam, I'm marking 1" inward. At the chest line, I mark 1" inward. I'm going to blend the 2 points to the waistline. Reason why I'm not going in at the waist by 1" is because of this dart that I input. The seam allowance I used was 2". You know, if you are working with a stretchy material that stretch that is too much, that is the reason why I'm reducing. I'm also going to reduce my zipper allowance because there's no really need to go with 2" for zip. So at this waistline, I'm going to go in by 1", exactly that 1". I will blend it to the shoulder, I'll blend it to the hip line and also to the neckline, like this, and I'm going to cut it out. The reason why I'm cutting this part out is to remove any excess, but originally I'm going to use 1". Our back is not straight, so I'm removing it out. For this armhole, I'm removing the back armhole. There is no really need because I'm working with material that stretch, so I have to remove it. If not, I will end up having excess. At the neckline, I went in by 1" for the width. Also at the chest line, I will go up by 1". I'm going to connect a kind of triangle like this. Then I will blend this triangle to the width of our neck like this. And guys, this is our front neckline. For the back, I'm going to make a round neck. Yeah. If you are not satisfied with the shape, you can always redo it so that you can get what you want. There's nothing wrong about that. For the neckline, I the depth of the neck I also went in by 1 inch. For the width, I went in by 1.5 inch and I connect it. At this shoulder line, normally if we are using Ankara to sew, we add allowance like half inch for joining us the shoulder and our sleeve together. I'm taking out that half inch. You can even take it up to the chest line, but because of the twist, I'm not doing that. I'm still not okay with the neckline of my front piece, so I'm trying to trim it a little bit more. At this armhole region, I'm marking 6 inch like this, the curve, slight curve. I'm bending it to the, I'm curving it to the neckline, so we are cutting it out. So this shoulder side is the side that is twisted, so I'm writing the fold or twist. And after that, I'm bringing my material, my black crepe material that I told you earlier. This is the fabric I'm working with. This material is stretch. Please, while cutting, you need to pay attention to the part that stretches most. Like, let the part that stretch most should be the size seam. I mean the circumference of your measurement, not the length. I hope that makes sense. At the waistline, I will go down by 1.5 inch. Now that is where my slits will stop. So at this hip line, I'm marking half inch, then connect it in the form of triangle back to that 1.5 inch that I came down with. So I'm going to cut it out. After this my slit is not, the line is not straight, so I'm going to blend it, ensure that it's straight. So I'm going to cut my back piece right now. The part that stretches most will be the size seam, as in it will be the circumference of my measurement, not the length. It will not be the length. I hope this makes sense. It's very important you do that. So I'm cutting exactly what I have. If you have watched to this extent, you haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button, share and like this video, because this motivates me to do more videos for you guys. All right, let's continue. Done doing that. The next thing to cut now, the next thing I want to remove now is the sleeve, because I'm working with a long sleeve, so I would like to remove my sleeve right now. So I'm cutting the two sleeves together. I'm going to fold my material into four so that I will cut my two sleeves together. After folding, I'm going to mark my starting point, which is 1 inch. Measure and measure and be sure that you have the length that you want for the two sleeve. Mark your starting point, which is 1 inch, and mark the length of the sleeve. The length of my sleeve is 23 inch plus 1 inch for hemming allowance, and I connect the point. Sorry, I added 1.5 inch for that hemming allowance. Reason is because at this upper part we are going to join it to our sleeve, to our dress, by 1/2 inch. We also aim the down. At this starting point, I'm going down by 8 inch. That is my elbow measurement. I also put my elbow measurement plus 1 inch for sewing allowance. Remember, the dress we use 1 inch for the dress, so at the sleeve too we are going to use 1 inch for our sleeve. I also come down by 3.5 inch. You can make it 3 inch if you are working with a very stretchy material like velvet, and I do a slanted ace and connect. At this angle measurement, I input my angle measurement plus 1 inch for sewing allowance. So I'm cutting it out right now. I'm going to notch the midpoint of my sleeve like this so that it will help me while sewing. The next thing I want to cut now is this part that I labeled fold. I want to know which part will be joined to the shoulder, which part is the side of the armhole, which side is the neck area. So I'm just labeling my pattern in the way I will understand. There's nothing much here. So I'm going to place it on my fabric to cut it out. In total, I need 4 pieces.
I will add 1 inch at the top and 1 inch at the down.
Each line is supposed to be, for the two sleeve, I'm going to cut both the main fabric and the lining. So at this up sides, I add 1 inch. At the side seam, I add 1/2 inch. That is the reason you need to label it so that you'll not get confused, because they almost look alike. So I'm adding half inch, and that will be my seam allowance. The reason why I'm adding 1 inch is because after the twist, I don't want to run shortest of my measurement. That's why I'm adding 1 inch. So in total I have 4 pieces. If you check very well, you know that I've transferred my label on my fabric so that it will help me while sewing. I'm marking the length of my facing for the slit. You see at the hip line, I mark it, and after that I'm going to place my front piece at this folded edge and cut exactly the facing what I have there. I will remove the pin and mark where I would like uh, my facing to stop like this. From then I'm curving it like this. So I'm cutting it out. After that, cut the length. I didn't remember to cut it. And when I place it on my fabric like this, I have excess. So I have to fold it back and cut it. You see, I have excess. So always make sure you cut the length. The length I chuck it out, but I didn't remember to cut it. So I'm cutting it out now. And this fits very fine on the slit side. So the next thing I'm going to cut out now is the facing for a neckline, which I fold my fabric into two, and I place my front I place the front on top of this folded fabric, and I'm going to cut my facing out. I will make sure in the way that it will come all the way to the shoulder, and it will also go a little deep by the armhole like this and still cut, because even our shoulder we are going to turn it with a facing because of this fold that we make. So, and I curve it like this, and I'm cutting it out. See, even our armhole carry a little shape of the facing. So in order to duplicate that, I'm actually pinning those that point. This is the easiest way to do it, and if you flip it to the wrong side, you'll be able to see the dot like this. So I'm doing this for my two back piece. Yes, I'm doing it for my two back piece. This way you don't need to measure your dart again. And the bust span for my, I'm using my bust span for this dart, which is 3.5 inch. So, and I add half inch for sewing allowance. So in total I measure 4 inch, and at the waistline I blend it. I make sure my dart does not get to my bust point, and also make sure that my dart does not get to the hip point like this. So at that waistline of my dart I use 4 inch downward. I also use 4 inch upwards. So in total the length of my dart is 8 inch. Please take note so that you can do exactly what I'm doing now. So I'm marking it out in my two piece so that when I get to the machine I will easily stitch it down. I also repeat the same process with my front piece. So I'm going to place my facing like that and stitch it down. See, I've done doing that. Putting my dart in place. So now I'm going to work with this twist. I'm making sure I place it I place it the right way. Making sure I place it the right way. I'm only going to sew that side seam. The area that I added half inch, that is the area I'm going to sew. Yeah. So I'm done sewing it. I flip it to the right side, and for my slits, I'm actually notching that triangle part so that it will help it to relax well. So I will use aiming gum to iron this slits very well so that I will have a very neat one. I'm checking out this style, the way this twist is folded. If you can check very well, I've ironed this twist. I've ironed this part that I label fold. I've ironed it very well. I give it a very nice press with the help of my aiming gum. I iron it very well. Okay, you can iron it without attaching a aiming gum. I think I did not add aiming gum to it. I iron it very well. This part that I label fold, but I did not add aiming gum to it when I was ironing it. So I'm folding it very well so that I can align it to my shoulder part like this and stitch it down. So after twisting, make sure you align that piece to the to the shoulder line and stitch it down. And after that, I also cover my facing and stitch it down. So right now I'm going to top stitch toward the facing, leaving making sure that that side I fold is on my main piece. I will top stitch only on the lining, and after this I'm going to use aiming gum to iron it very flat. Like this is looking very beautiful. So I'm done with my front piece. We are working with our back piece now. So guys, how many of you noticed that we didn't remember to cut our back facing? So we are going to do it right now. For the back facing, we are going to cut it normal way that we cut our facing. So I'm placing my back piece on top of a folded piece, and I'm cutting out my lining, my facing this way. Please guys, take note of the way I'm cutting this facing. I'm making sure that I cut it in the way that small part of my armhole comes in. So I'm going to place it right side facing right side and stitch it down by half an inch. And after that, I'm going to wash it, flip it to the right side and top stitch. After top stitching, I'm going to iron it with aiming gum. I will also, before I stitch down my zip allowance, I'm going to iron this paper stay on it. This is a peplum stay. I'm ironing it only on that zip allowance area so that it will not be fold. It will not fold when I attach my zip. So I'm putting my front piece in between my back piece. I'm going to stitch it down. I place that area that I fold between my back piece, that is the main piece, and the lining, and I flip it the normal way we turn our shoulder. That is the same way I'm doing it right now. So I'm going to shape out my sizing by 1.5 inch, though we added 1 inch. Yeah, I'm going to shape it out with 1.5 inch so that it will fit very well on our body. So I'm done doing that. I'm going to iron that the hem of the sleeve out because with the help of the hemming gum, you see what I'm doing, I'm not stitching it down. If you check from the style, the sleeve is not stitched, it's not sewn, so it is ironed out. So let's just do the same thing. I stitch the side by 1.5 inch too, though we added 1 inch. So I'm pinning that fold so that it will not shift from its place when I want to attach my sleeve. And I curve my armhole by 1/2 inch. I curve it by 1/2 inch, and if there is any excess at the shoulder side, I'm trimming it off like this. If you have any excess at the shoulder, please trim it off. At the center piece, I mark 2 inch, but I'm going to use 1.5 inch. I'll clean it and mark 1.5 inch. 2 inch is too much, so I'm marking 1.5 inch from the center. You know, we notch our sleeve, so from that notch, the notch will help us to know the area that is the center. So I'm marking 1.5 inch, and after that I'm going to mark 3 inch inward. This is the part that I will not stitch down. This part will be open, so I will use hemming gum to iron that part down. I'm using hemming gum to iron it. I will repeat it for my two sleeve and iron that part down flat. Probably you can this is how I'm going to iron it up. But what I'm going to do to make it easier for me is I will attach it, making sure that the side seam of my sleeve matches with the side seam of my dress. I'm going to join it starting from the side seam to this point, and also starting from my side seam to this point that I marked. When I get to this 3 inch, I will jump it and continue stitching. As you can see, this part is open, so I'm going to use hemming gum to iron that part, that opening part flat. So it's the time to work with a zip. Now is the time to work with my zip. I'm going to stitch down my zip like this. I place my zip right side facing my dress, so I'm pinning it down for the sake of this tutorial. The allowance we added for the zip was 1 inch. Guys, I use more than 1 inch. That is just the truth, but it's not up to 1.5 inch. I make sure I use 1.25, so I didn't use up to 1.5 inch. That is just the truth. So I'm going to go to my machine and stitch it down. Reason why I'm doing this, I'm trying to avoid any kind of zipper bunch. So after this, guys, look at it, it's very neat, very beautiful. So I'm cutting out the excess zip, we don't need it. So I'm going to use hemming gum to hem the down of my dress. I will also cut excess of this at this upper part and stitch it down, only with the allowance. The stitching will not touch the main piece, only with the allowance, guys. Be very sure that it does not touch the your you stitch it in a way that it does not come with the does not contact with the dress. We are doing inseam finishing, so there should be no thread showing. So because I've stitched it like that, it's not really relaxing well on our body, so I'm going to use hemming gum to iron that part well. After this, guys, this is the second day where I take the piece to the market and I press this button. I don't have this button machine, so I'm going to place it like this, and use my thread and needle to stitch it down. And after this, we are done, guys. Let me know in the comment section how you think of this dress, and do not forget to subscribe. Please just like the video, only like this video, so that this video will get to more people who are interested in watching it. Till I see you in my next video. Bye.